90% stuff.
I did say it later. Didn't take it.
Just spent £100 on. That's it. That gone.
Oh no!
Take no prisoners here. Yeah, very nice.
Lovely.
How we do time-wise, screen-wise?
Can you take these up to the... Take these up there?
No idea what time it is.
3:30.
What time's the...
Trains are 4, so I'm doing the car for 4. So we do the shop.
Good. Pretty good.
Clear some of the debris, shall we?
It looks a bit more, more respectful now.
Yeah.
Like
I just looked in the
decimated
bin
the
then.
place
I
with
said, God, have I missed out on a party?
Tidy up.
As close this week on the housework.
Quick dust off. Yeah, stuff, yeah, put the white down.
This is that one, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's good.
Burnt it.
You're not allowed in telly again.
No, your equipment's too expensive.
Not
I don't
after
want to
last
break
time.
it. Is that yours? Or?
No, mine's
It does. And it's, I always love to point out to bars that there's a much better...
Sounds like a complete
yeah.
Do you know, I find that if I have an espresso, not an espresso martini, but an espresso after a big lunch, it makes me feel peculiar and I just want to go to sleep.
Oh, really?
That's the opposite effect.
I think because I suddenly feel a bit sort of wired and if I had a glass of wine and an espresso and some food, I thought, oh God, I've just got to shut my eyes and go to sleep. I don't feel wired.
Yeah. But I would dream of having an actual espresso, so that it's in...
Yeah, Denali.
People are like, oh, you should be drinking an espresso martini. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't, because they know what I'm liking coffee.
Does anyone want to try that? We're filming at the moment. So does anyone...
That's all good. I've got enough for the shop.
Alright, I'm waiting. I'm fine. I'm just wondering if anyone else wants to.
I think I'm fine. I think
probably too much espresso. I think espresso might be...
they were delicious with the maple syrup edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always make them Christmas. I actually was thinking that would be something simple, actually an easier way of doing them too.
Well, also I like it because I'm always trying to encourage people to drink at home.
Yeah.
And it means because not everyone goes, not everyone can afford to go out to bars all the time. So it's a real treat, and it's nice being inventive at home. What I love about that is, if you've got some vodka, you can find some maple syrup, you can find a coffee.
Yeah, it's really easy.
And you don't need a special kind of ingredient
Yeah,
to
we had
make
one
it
Christmas
from
Day
what
last
you've got in the
year.
kitchen. I love drinks that do that.
Yeah, I was thinking that would be an easier thing because we did on Christmas Day now. My mum got really into them last year.
Great. I think there is a really resurgence of having like the cocktail collie, people having own bar and that kind of thing. Because like you said, it's so noisy to go out and
Yeah.
have an evening.
Yeah, it's
Nice
actually-
cocktails that people are doing that kind of entertaining at home.
And also, property's so expensive. If you're lucky enough to own a property,
But then
you
staying
sort of
forever.
actually want to. Do you want to?
Yeah.
And never leave.
You kind of want to be in it.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
Yeah, we'll cut it out. Don't worry. I'll do a cutaway.
Start it again. Just shake it again afterwards. Let's put it on loosely.
Okay, we're ready. You can put unmovable.
I feel like cocktails are a bit smaller when you go out as well. I don't know whether I love margaritas. I'm like, now, you're supposed to get margarita and it's literally a thimble. I'm like,
Yeah, and 2 sips.
£18 like a bit probably less than 10 seconds.
Yes.
If I tried.
It really put your mind to it.
Yeah, definitely. I like it.
Travelling between those three places, and I think actually the Frosts have a B&B here as well. So yeah. But Black Cat is just yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned the cottage earlier. I did a smoking and curing course there.
Did you?
And remember seeing Black Cow in there, and they would be talking about it. And like, so like you can save the 12 hours an hour.
Did you have fun?
I loved it.
aren't you?
Like,
Good. Alright, okay. You can't tell on the camera. I won't spend too long, don't worry.
Oh, okay. It can be quite, an experience. Do you want me like this? No, just here.
That's yeah, and then
Okay.
direct the mic is a directional one, so it's
Yes.
accurately.
Good far.
Awesome.
Okay, so I guess just to start with, could you introduce yourself and explain what you do here?
Hi, I'm Dr. Anne Brock. I'm the Master Distiller of Bombay Sapphire. That means that...
I do apologise. Can you change the mic? It's actually a little bit echoey than
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Oh, at least you did that. Said it now and not at the end. Also, we need to start it all again.
Do you want me to say hello or just say I'm Dr. Anne Brock?
You don't need to say hello.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just introduce them. Just don't think at them. Oh, you're not going to use this one?
No, put that down so that keeps your arms free. Would you mind feeling up your top?
Not at all. I've got a nice polar neck, which isn't ideal.
I really like that.
Right for the weather day.
Yeah.
I know.
Not like the other guy that we had the other day who had that big bushy beard and we couldn't put a mic on him at all.
Yeah.
Well, we can't.
There's no way around it.
I haven't got that problem, that's all right.
If you could just feed this through your beard.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, that just didn't work at all, did it? I'm obsessed with that giant blue butterfly. Have you seen it down the back? It's like a massive one. The one on the, there's one on the ground, but the one that's on there is huge when he opens his wings. It's like,
They're beautiful when they open their
Yeah.
wings. The colour is amazing.
yeah, it's such a cool colour.
I had a load of senior people from the ops team in Bacardi in here once, and we were discussing something that was quite serious. We just lost most of them because they were wandering off. And I was like, can we come back to the discussion with these people? It's like global head of ops, just taking a selfie with the butterfly.
Just one second.
Right, that's much
Yeah.
better on the audio.
Oh,
so
good.
Okay,
that's
great.
Cool. Give me 2 seconds to refocus.
I'm not getting too sweaty now.
No, it's like hot. It's one of those. It's like the tube at the moment. You get on the tube and then
Yeah.
literally like.
Oh,
right,
you got a
I can't.
fever, don't you?
I look at everyone and I think, why are they all still in their clothes? I'm like stripping off.
Yeah.
I'm sitting, I've got like coats on.
It's definitely layers time
Yeah.
of year in London, yeah.
But then you just see all the other people just happily sitting on the tube, and I'm like, how are you not like
Roasting.
dying right now? Like
Right,
that.
ready when you are.
Okay,
Good.
so take 2. If you would introduce yourself and explain your job here.
I'm Dr. Anne Brock. I'm the Master Distiller of Bombay Sapphire. That means I lead the team of distillers that make every single drop of Bombay Sapphire in the world.
Wow, small task then.
Just a small one.
So how did you get into it, I guess, and what was your background before you came here?
So before I came here, I ran a small craft distillery in central London. Actually, can I start that again? Because
Yes.
I don't want to say the word craft.
Okay.
I hate that word. Before I started at Bombay Sapphire, I was running a small distillery based in the southeast of London. I was the only distiller there, so it was quite a change when I came here and had a team of 17. Before I worked in that small distillery, I was actually a chemist.
Oh, interesting. And how does your background in chemistry then translate into what you do now?
So for me, it's an understanding of the way liquids work and liquids boil, and also how flavour compounds behave. So all the compounds, all the things that make gin taste wonderful are chemical compounds, and I know what's going to damage them, how they're going to distill, and understand how to get the best out of those botanicals and those compounds.
And then in terms of Bombay, what are the botanicals that you use, and how do they change over years or seasons, or how does that kind of work?
We've got 10 key botanicals in Bombay Sapphire, and they're all actually, if you buy a bottle, they're beautiful pictures, botanical pictures are engraved down the side of the bottle. Juniper, of course, that's the most important for any gin in the world. Coriander, angelica. Lemon peels from Mercia, they're actually hand peeled for us and dried in the sun, which is wonderful. Then we have cassia, almond, cubeb berries, grains of paradise, and licorice powder. So that's the 10 that are in Bombay Sapphire. Each year, each harvest, they are going to be slightly different. And we've got a team of botanical experts who are based in Geneva, and they work with all our suppliers directly to manage each harvest, to manage each supply or each delivery of botanicals, and they test those on site at Geneva before they send them out to us here. So we know that by the time they get to us, we've got the very best so that we can ensure that Bombay Sapphire is the very best.
And what is it, just going back to basics, what is it that makes a gin, and what do you have to be kept? What is there certain, like balances of things that it has to be in to call it a gin?
So in the very fundamental definition of gin, the only thing that you need to have in there to make it gin is juniper, and that juniper flavour must be predominant. There are lots of other definitions and different styles of gin. So you can have compound gins and distilled gins. So they're referring to the methods you use to produce the gin. A compound gin, you're just steeping the botanicals in a liquid, a bit like making a cup of tea, removing the botanicals, and you're taking that liquid as gin. It is a gin. It will have a bit of colour from the botanicals, but what it's not is a distilled gin. A distilled gin, obviously, there has to be some form of distillation involved. And then in the very strictest of all the definitions of gin is London Dry Gin. London Dry Gin, all the botanical flavourings that you have in the gin have to be added during the distillation process. So nothing can be added after, whether that's sugar, flavourings, colour. You can only add neutral grain spirit, which is high quality ethanol spirit, and water afterwards to that gin. Otherwise it is not a London Dry Gin.
Interesting. And now there's been sort of a huge gin explosion over the last few years. Has that been good for, I mean, obviously there's more competition now, but is it also good in terms of you have to look for more innovative ways and more interesting things to do, and does it kind of bring up the quality all around, basically?
Absolutely. Gin has had an incredible explosion. I think last year in the UK the market was estimated to be something like £1.9 billion, which is a huge amount, and it's double that what it was in 2016. For a company like Bombay Sapphire, it's been fantastic. You know, we've seen just the general level of interest in gin and the number of gin drinkers across the country grow. People are finding their local distillery, they're enjoying that spirit, and they're going on from there and exploring. And I think they come back to Bombay Sapphire time and time again for its balance and its consistency. And also, it has to be said, availability, as we've got a good distribution network.
And have you also seen an increase in people who want to come and actually look around? I know, you know, we're doing a story looking at various distilleries in the UK where it seems that there's been an uptick in just the interest in terms of people wanting to know more about where things come from and just wanting to have holidays at home. What are the sort of reasons you're finding for this kind of increase in popularity?
I totally agree that it's actually part of it is people are really, they care where their food and their drink is coming from, and they're interested to know, they want to go and meet the makers. And I saw that a lot when I was working in my small distillery in London, and I see it here. I mean, the visitor centre here goes from strength to strength. We've seen something like on average a 14% increase year on year since we opened in terms of the number of visitors. People are buying these experiences as gifts for family and friends because it's a great gift to receive. Rather than buying something that's going to clutter up your house, you have this experience and memories that you won't forget. Certainly we have gift vouchers here in the shop for our experiences, and the sales of those have gone up by 300% since we opened. So there is a real change and a real increase in the number of people who want to come and visit and see how these spirits, how their drinks and how their food is being made.
Well, I think, you know, there's also sometimes a misconception that things are not, it can personalise things, can't it? Because I think people imagine these huge, big, very impersonal production lines and not really individual activities going on to create these things. So is it also nice to sort of be able to show the very personalised side of the
Absolutely.
process?
When guests come and visit Laverstoke Mill, they see the 4 stills that make all the Bombay Sapphire in the world, and I think sometimes that blows people's minds. If they're lucky, they'll see one of my distillers wandering around because we're operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we always have a distilling team on site. So if you're here and you see someone in a bright orange jacket, the chances are you are noticing a rare sighting of one of our distillers. So he'll be running around monitoring the stills and monitoring the quality of the gin on a daily basis. Because no matter what happens here on site, our distillers have to go and nose that liquid on a regular basis to make sure it is tasting as you would expect Bombay Sapphire to taste.
And if you could just explain where we are actually, because we haven't really said that. We're in this beautiful building that's sort of within the mill. What is this? What is this?
This is one of my favourite places on site if I'm not in a still house. This is the Tropical House, so it's one of the 2 beautiful glass houses that we have. Basically sat in the River Tess, which is a chalk stream river that runs through the centre of the distillery. The glass houses are sat in it, and they were designed by Thomas Heatherwick, and they're made to represent the 2 very different environments that botanicals that are traditionally found in gin are grown, and certainly the botanicals that ours are grown in. We have one that's the Tropical House, and that's where we are, where it's a bit steamy, and we've got big date palms behind us. And then next door we have the Mediterranean House, which is a bit more of a temperate climate and contains some of those botanicals that we get from the Mediterranean.
Cool. And in terms of like, just as a general rule, what would you tell people if they're tasting a gin, what should they be looking for, and what marks out a good gin?
Juniper. You need your juniper. So if you're not tasting juniper, chances are it's not a gin. But above and beyond that, you're looking for a balance. You're looking for an overall sort of flavour story in the mouth. So you don't want to be left short and you don't want to have it burning down too long, but you want to have a sort of development of flavours. So you have an initial taste, a middle and an end, and you want a bit of complexity in there. So you don't want it too one-dimensional.
And then just a bit of a U-turn, but in terms of being a woman in an industry that's very traditionally been a male industry, have you noticed change? Have you come across people who are surprised to find you in the role you're in? How has that kind of been for you?
I do find a lot of people who are surprised that I'm a woman in this role, but actually a lot of master distillers are women. There are 2 other major gin houses in the UK where their master distillers are women. It's not that unusual. It's just a perception, I think. I think it's because it's a science and technology role, people perceive that it is more male dominated. Certainly in my team, there's myself, and up until recently there were only men in my team, but we've just hired a female production supervisor. So locally, I'm hoping to change that and get more women involved. As a whole in the industry, with the rise of these small distilleries, there's just more opportunities for everyone to get involved, and you're seeing women take those opportunities up, which is great.
And I'm also noticing it in terms of when you go into bars, you know, the bar managers and things, there's a lot, seems to be more women in general getting involved in the industry. Do you think, is that good for, well, obviously it's good, but do you see that as well? Have you noticed, like, just overall, there's just more women getting involved in the drinks industry?
I think there's this very strong history of women behind bars. There was a very famous head bartender of the Savoy who was a woman for a number of years back in the 20s, and so you're seeing that remain, and there are a lot of very talented female bartenders out there, and I can only hope that that continues and grows.
Cool. Well, thank you. I think that
Really
works
good.
for in here, doesn't it?
Can I just get you to stay where you are? I'm just
Yeah.
going to get...
In charge of anything now, I think it should be like the norm. But I think there is something interesting about just the industry changing in terms of, I suppose you were just saying, you know, the way that they design bars now is to make it more friendly for people to go in. Like, that's kind of interesting, the change.
Yeah,
that's
and
more
I think
interesting
the
angle
sort of
than-
ergonomic thing as well. I only know this because I was talking to bartenders in the US, and I'd never even thought about it. I've worked behind bars myself, but when you've been a bartender for 15 years, so many of them have got back problems and back issues. And what male bartenders, because they're taller, have more bars need versus most female bartenders is different. And so you're starting to see this rise in like ergonomic bar design. So people can, and there's a bar, I think it's called Tearing Out.
Yeah, that place is amazing.
Oh, the food there was amazing.
The food was really good too.
Food's incredible. Drinks just the gimlet they do in there, I love.
Yeah.
We'd had quite a lot by the time we were in there.
Yeah, they did a great, what was it, the blue cheese olive martini as well.
The one sip martini, that's a killer.
Oh yeah,
No, it was good. But that things like that, so that I find that aspect really interesting.
Yeah.
And we have the same with films, like we go and do a film festival and they're like, oh yeah, you should do this film because it's a female director. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it just